Now, as one final note, in the coming days, there no doubt will be press releases and reports made by figureheads from both within this community as well as elsewhere that will deliver you a message that is designed to have you to believe that Kendrick Johnson died as a result of an accident. To that, I say, hold fast to your common sense. For what has caused people from as far away as Europe to wonder, with nothing more than their common sense, is not whether hanging upside down for extensive periods of time will kill you, but instead the question for all of us is this: how is it that within a mere 8 hours, officials could conclusively report that Kendrick Johnson, who is headed to a weightlifting class, for some unknown reason chose to squeeze himself into a rolled up piece of foam rubber in order to retrieve a shoe that somehow had gotten away from him, got stuck, couldn't get loose, and with the presence of more than 3,000 fellow students and faculty walking up and down the school's hallways, if not in and out the very gym where his body is fractured. How is it that no one heard KJ yelling? Today we stand together to say to KJ that we hear your cry for help.
Griggs, This is the Get To Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines. And as you know, there was a march by the KJ family and supporters here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, Georgia. And I chose not to attend that event. I wanted to send a message, and I wanted to test the waters, that if I ignored that event and just sit it out, what would the Valdosta Daily Times and your local mainstream news media would report concerning that march from the Lowndes County High School to the grave site of Kendrick Johnson. And so after waiting a few days to see if the people in Valdosta, the state of Georgia, the United States of America, and my viewers over in Korea, if they would get to hear anything about the march of the mother and father in their search for justice concerning their 17-year-old son that was found dead in January the 11th, to be exact, 2013. And so I want you to know I apologize for not attending that march. You know that if I had been there, I would have covered the entire event. But I wanted you all to see that the people who speak negatively of the work that I do, which your traditional mainstream news media will not do. And yet, it seems as if though we are losing our rights here in this free democratic society. And so I put together a video, and I'm about to share that prelude into the annual People's Tribunal tribute to the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm asking you to sit back and watch the prelude to the tribute to Martin Luther King Jr. Once again, I say to you, we think that when we serve in the armed forces, and I served for 20 years, we think that we are fighting for freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and your right to know. I have proven on this channel repeatedly for the last few decades that the news in the black community are ignored by the white-owned, white-controlled, and white-dominated news media networks. Now, I have already explained to you about situations and circumstances concerning the Kendrick Johnson family that you know nothing about, because the news media here in South Georgia, apparently based on the documented proof that I have to keep you, they want to keep you and your children deaf, dumb, and blind to the times, and unable to make intelligent decisions based on facts of reality. I've been telling you about the newly elected black mayors, how they are being driven from office, voters are being intimidated, suppressing the black vote. Some blacks are being put under so much stress until they are contemplating or have contemplated suicide. You know what I say? Suicide. And when we send all this information to those who should be concerned about voting rights, particularly the Democratic Party under the chairman and leadership of Du Bois Porter, in all these communities, they ignore these elected officials as they are under attack. Many of them have been removed from office. Some are in jail. Black district attorneys in the state of Georgia have been removed from office. But the local, state, and national news media networks, this go for CNN, MSNBC, Atlanta Journal and Constitution, and others, will not connect the dots about all this activity going on to stop blacks from voting, holding public office, and removing them even by Superior Court judges. This is not a figment of my imagination. Representative Tyrone Brooks, Joseph Lowry, the Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, Mr. Steele, Francis Johnson for the state of Georgia NAACP have been informed through your prominent black leaders. All you have to do is Google or call Representative Tyrone Brooks, and he will tell you about the videos that we sent to him, to Eric Holder and to even Barack Obama. But yet, no real local, state, or national news media will pick up on all of these cities in the state of Georgia. It is as if though we are in Russia, China, Pakistan, Iran, Russia, or Tajikistan. But no, it's right here where we stand in the state of Georgia. I want you all to Google the Quitman 10 plus 2. Now, let me stop. I'm going to do a prelude because I want to try to highlight this. I'm asking you all, you can look at the negative if you like, but look at the facts that I'm trying to present, because I'm determined as a retired military veteran to compliment beyond the fanfare and the lies on Veterans Day and Memorial Day and all these days when we say we respect our veterans. If you respect the veterans, then you ought to respect these mothers and fathers that I'm talking about in the next video, in this prelude to the People's Tribunal dedication to the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Again, I did this prelude because I am concerned how we are losing, or have already lost our freedom of the press. Our mainstream news media are giving us a perfect example of the best news media that money can buy from the rich and those in power, while you are made to live in the dark or in the white or in the wrong, because they don't want you to get it on along the lines of the founding fathers of this great republic. I'm asking you now to sit back, call your grandmother, and above all, please call your military veterans and your family and tell them to watch this next video, and ask them if the blood they shed and if the lives that were lost from their families, ask them, was it worth it when the news media refused to publish and connect the dots of what you're about to see? And it's all been documented. And I'm not the only one. Go to Augusta, go to Brunswick, go to my videos. You will see black and white right people in Brunswick. You will see black and white people standing up in Gordon, how they disrespected that mayor. Go to Warrenton, Georgia, and look at black and white people that stood up to help George Ivy. Go to Lumpkin, Georgia, and watch black and white people that stood up, and I could go on and on and on. Please, before you condemn me, be careful. Be very careful. Lest you yourself condemn God, who said in St. John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. You can never be free as long as mainstream news media will refuse to connect the dots concerning the issues, the problems, and advancement in the black community that represents the blacks in uniform and now on foreign battlefields, fighting for a nation that will not even connect the dots concerning something that is so important as voting rights here in the United States of America. Peace. Let's watch the video. I'm going to watch it with you, okay? Let's do that. Peace out.
from Mr. C.B. King. He is the family lawyer.
I've taken a moment to kind of collect my thoughts, and I thought it would be best, and certainly in the name of time, because you know how long-winded lawyers can be, for me to put it in writing. As a child, I witnessed the turbulence and confrontations of the 1960s, a period in history when people almost routinely came together to petition government and protest against the wrongs that were occurring within our society. So as I look out at this crowd that we have here today, it does me good to see that we still have the courage and the conviction to not simply expect justice, but to demand it as well. So on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Johnson and the entire Johnson family, we thank you. We thank each and every one of you for coming here today. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson have endured a terrible ordeal, but they measured up to the challenge. They have taken on this community, both to encourage those of you who stand here today, as well as to say to the power structure, we will take it no more. All that they ever wanted was justice. They, and quite frankly, all of us, have a right to expect from those in authority, such as the Sheriff's Department and the Board of Education, that they would go all out and conduct a thorough and unbiased investigation for one simple reason, so that the truth about what happened to Kendrick Johnson can come out. For if the truth cannot come out, there will be no understanding of what happened to Kendrick. There will be no accountability for what occurred to Kendrick. And there will be no corrections nor any changes made to ensure that what occurred to Kendrick will not happen again. In essence, there will be no justice. Now, as one final note, in the coming days, there no doubt will be press releases and reports made by figureheads from both within this community as well as elsewhere that will deliver you a message that is designed to have you to believe that Kendrick Johnson died as a result of an accident. To that, I say, hold fast to your common sense. For what has caused people from as far away as Europe to wonder, with nothing more than their common sense, is not whether hanging upside down for extensive periods of time will kill you, but instead the question for all of us is this: how is it that within a mere 8 hours, officials could conclusively report that Kendrick Johnson, who is headed to a weightlifting class, for some unknown reason chose to squeeze himself into a rolled up piece of foam rubber in order to retrieve a shoe that somehow had gotten away from him, got stuck, couldn't get loose, and with the presence of more than 3,000 fellow students and faculty walking up and down the school's hallways, if not in and out the very gym where his body is found. How is it that no one heard KJ yelling? Today we stand today We stand together to say to KJ that we hear your cry for help. Today we say that we are unsatisfied with the answers we've been given. Today we stand together as a community and declare that the truth and justice we seek comes not in a sound bite, drowning in a multitude and sea of questions, but in the form of a thorough, unbiased, and independent investigation. Thank you.
Okay, what's your name?
Eddie Toole.
Eddie Toole, I was listening to you a few minutes ago, and you had some questions. What would you just expound on? You would explain it to him. The questions that you wanted to have asked. What would those questions be? Or concerns?
One of my concerns is of the investigation. They had cameras in the gym where the investigation was done. I would like for those videos to be shown. I would like to see them. Then it will show you exactly how they conducted their video, how they conducted their investigation, and whatever happened. And it would even show if he was standing up bent over in a mat, or was he was laying down and they rolled him in a mat. So that video needs to be also shown also.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question? Did you anything you want to say?
I would like to say Valdosta as a whole, Valdosta need to get together with this thing, because the Lounge High football team is playing with a murderer on that team. And those kids out there in just as much danger as KJ. You playing with a murderer, you don't know what he might do next.
Now, how can you make the statement that he's playing with a murder? You mean he could be, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he's still out there,
right? He's
still playing.
So he could be out there playing with the murder, wouldn't know.
If he's on the football team,
right?
In which and if he's playing this year, the team is playing with a murder.
Right. So that's why it's important in this case.
It's very important for them to find out who he is, to get him out the system.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I guess I am in a way. Is it routine? You have an experience in morticians. How can organs be missing? I mean, is that something routine, or what do you think about that? I mean, you know more about it than I do. I know.
Well, I worked at the funeral home about 25 years, but the only time they can really be missing is they either didn't come back. That I don't know. I've never known them to be missing, being honest with you. Never know. We never had nobody was missing. 9 times out of 10, they would come back with a body. But in certain circumstances, as this is, who knows? And then maybe they might have come back, and they might not. But I was told from a reliable source that they were still in Macon.
Well, what about the newspaper? I heard last night on the news that a newspaper in the body. It's routine to put newspaper in the body.
Well, as far as I know, I mean, when you ain't got nothing in the body, you got to build it up some kind of way. So I don't know. I mean, what is legal to put in there, but I know you have to have something to build it up with.
I heard normally it's gauze, not newspaper. That's what I heard. But I guess, like you said, it could be anything, I guess.
I guess it could be anything. I don't know the rules, because I didn't go to school. I just don't work there. But I don't know whether it's legal or illegal, but that can be answered easily,
Yeah. Well, my final question is, what do you think of CNN coming in doing a good job? Because I think that what we've been looking for a long time here in South Georgia is for national news coverage. So it seems like this is getting the attention by CNN coming in and other news media from Jacksonville. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I mean, the media is where you're going to get most of your help from. And CNN, I think they're doing a wonderful job. They're so involved now to they're kind of like family.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, and they won't close you too.
Okay.
They say they want to be there. They're going to be there to the end.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's closed on this end. What was KJ to you?
He was my grandson.
Okay. Thank you very much. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Foster. I am doing what we do because it must be done. That's how we go.
Makes 11 months, my son was found at Lowndes High School, rolled up in a mess. I was at that school the day they found my son. They treated us like nobody from day one. They're still treating us like nobody. But we declare that we're here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. They want us to leave, and when we leave, it's gonna be when they give us justice for my son. Makes 11 months, my son was found at Lowndes High School, rolled up in a mess. I was at that school the day they found my son. They treated us like nobody from day one. They're still treating us like nobody. But we declare that we're here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. They want us to leave, and when we leave, it's gonna be when they give us justice for my son.
We want to thank everyone for coming out, supporting our family. But I want to know, they're known to use us and tear down our character. But Kendrick, that they can't do.
Amen.
Kendrick was at school where he was supposed to be.
Amen.
And out of 3,000 students, plus teachers, plus a school with resource officers at the school.
Yes.
How in the world can a student go missing during school and be murdered at school?
Mama.
As you all know, his organs was missing. But let me tell you a little bit about that. It's from the top of his head to his pelvis was missing. Yeah, the brain, his windpipe, his tongue, His heart, and everything else inside of his body was missing.
My Lord.
So I want the justice system to tell me, how is it that all of that is going on with his body, someone is not charged with something?
Amen. Yeah.
It can't be.
My God. Cannot be.
You mean to tell me, from the time he was last seen on that surveillance camera, within 15 or 20 minutes, he gonna cut off all of his fingernails till they start to bleed. He gonna scroll his photos around the gym. He gonna throw the shoe over inside the mat and say, I think I'll go over there and get it now. So how does one shoe inside the mat and the other one's away from the mat? And then he gets inside the mat, gets stuck, and then I guess the pair of shoes that he had on his feet, he kicks them off.
Makes no sense.
How can that be?
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
And other than that, the clothes that he had, what he dressed out in, how's the data missing? From the clothes he had on, from when they took him to make him to the crime lab, how come that they are missing? So out of all this stuff that's going on, why isn't someone arrested for something?
Amen. How long?
So is it the whole system in together? Because it ain't no way in the world that y'all don't see something. Thank you.
KJ! Who killed KJ? Come on! Who killed KJ? Who killed KJ? Thank you.
Today makes 11 months my son was found at Lowndes High School, rolled up in a mat. I was at that school the day they found my son. They treated us like nobody from day one. They're still treating us like nobody. But we declare that we're here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. They want us to leave, and when we leave, it's going to be when they give us justice for my son.
Amen.
High School, rolled up in a Met. I was at that school the day they caught my son. They treated us like nobody from day one. They're still treating us like nobody. But we declare that we're here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. They want us to leave, and when we leave, it's going to be when they give us justice for my son.
This is the Get to Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are racist or hater, time will tell. And our righteous and holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Rice.
Peace out.